Welcome into Real Kyper and Bourne. No Kyper today. I am joined by the great JD Bunkis, who I'm going to introduce in just a moment. I just did. Let's just say hello. Hi, JD.
Hey.
Hi. Welcome aboard. Glad to have you today. We are still live on Sportsnet, Sportsnet 590 The Fan, Sportsnet 960 in Calgary, Sportsnet 650 in Vancouver, and Sportsnet Plus. Technical directors Jake Schultz and Derek Brandeo. And as always, this hour of Real Kyper and Bourne brought to you by Bet365. Bunk, how are you, pal?
Good.
What's going on?
I always want to know where Kyper is when I come in.
Wedding? Wedding in New
He's-
Jersey, I think.
He was actually funny. He was like,
He's a gallivanter.
Yeah, he gallivants.
he was actually like, hey, just so you know, Monday, you can call me in the car. I'm going to be driving back from a wedding in New Jersey.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
I was like, why don't you just not do that?
Yeah.
And he's like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He agreed.
Yeah. Maybe he wanted to give your show the big scoop.
Do you think there is one?
Well, he gave one to not your show.
Oh, yeah. Last week when we were talking about, he talked about Marchand.
Yeah.
He went
Oh,
on with the
yeah.
other guys.
Yeah. I was like,
I
you know,
hammered-
you got a show, right?
What's funny is he'll often give it to us about
evolving.
going on other shows and being like, you don't want to give the good stuff to the other shows
Yeah.
or whatever. He's aware of what's going on.
Yeah,
So.
he came in and I was like, you should have done it. He's like, oh, what?
Yeah.
What?
He said he was good. Everyone knew that.
Everybody
Yeah.
knew. Everybody knew.
How have you guys enjoyed watching the Panthers celebrate their Stanley Cup victory?
So
Hard.
Yeah?
hard for you?
No, like they're celebrating it hard.
They,
and it
I will
is-
say, it looks exhausting. I can't help but feel like, God, they must be tired.
the most 40-year-old guy thing I've ever heard.
I think a couple things. One is I've seen some blowback on Twitter from fans of the Oilers and some others that have gone like, this is such a classless way to celebrate the way that they've.
classless. What a dumb word.
I know, but that's it. Where they've gone, oh, they didn't have to call out the Oilers, like Marchand wearing the losers
yeah.
crest.
I will say I didn't love that.
I love it. I just, again, for a sport that is aching for genuine animosity, like that thrives in animosity.
Of course.
Why do you remember
it's good.
Avalanche Red Wings, right? It's like, did they get along or did you watch a documentary on it 20 years later because they hated one another and
Right.
it was a blood feud? So I love that stuff. I think that we don't get enough of that in modern day sports, especially North American sports, where it's like true blue hatred.
Yeah.
Like we got that one report where it was, hey, the things that are being said between these teams is crossing a line. And I went, amazing.
Yeah,
Where
cool.
can we hear it?
I want to hear that.
How much would you
I want to
pay
go to
for
there.
the live feed?
Well, it's always been our thing. It's like HBO should sell like the rights to like the
Yeah.
on ice microphones, and then it would get shut down literally like
Yeah,
a week later
immediately.
because of
Yeah.
all
Yeah.
the bad stuff
Like,
that was said.
when they said bad stuff, they meant really bad
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I think the Bennett thing with him being up there, like I understand what he said, but basically being like, yeah, we're dirty and we get away with it and we want it or whatever.
That's cool.
I do
Yeah,
think
I got
that
no problem
I
with
don't have a problem with him saying it, but I do think that's a bit of a tough look for the league, having a guy being up there being like,
But he didn't say I get away with
Well,
it. He
they-
said like people complain because
Yeah,
we're
but-
dirty.
yeah,
And
and
I
they are.
apologize to absolutely.
Yeah,
They did
yeah.
the Conor McGregor line. And then did Kachuk go up after?
I don't know.
Because
I just saw the
Kachuk
one thing.
tried to deliver the same line.
Hey, they're foggy, pal.
It was real bad, but he did the I would like to apologize to absolutely nobody line after Bennett did
If he
it.
did, everyone must be looking around like,
Yeah,
did
and he said,
catch
I was
the-
thinking about one of my favorite lines, and I went, wait, who went first on this? Because this is actually really important.
They've been
to
at
me.
the elbow room for 5 days.
Yeah.
I think we'll.
But this is what I mean. It's like, honestly, I watched them the first night. I was like, you should get to sleep because tomorrow's a big day.
Hasn't this made you?
Tomorrow's a big
Yeah.
day. They're like, how about we just drink all night again? How's that sound?
Hasn't this made you want Marchand more though in Toronto? Just from like the media.
Hold on, I
standpoint?
just want to say on the Oilers losers logo, it was the one thing in all this where I was like,
Why?
you know, you're supposed to celebrate your team's success and not celebrate the other team's failure. I know, but it takes someone to legitimately do something you consider offensive or across the line to create this real hatred or animosity that you're talking about, which is good. I recognize it's good. I also think it's
But it'd be weird if it was like Barkov. Then I would go, kind of cringy.
But did
But
they
the guy with
chant?
the nickname the Rat,
Yeah.
it seems
okay.
Fine.
So what? It's like he's green lit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
kind of. You can get away with anything.
yeah,
kinda.
he's a made
he's
man.
gotten away with it, but
Yeah.
it feels like you earned the Rat label there.
Yeah.
Did they chant F. McDavid too at one point? Was that a thing that I saw some people
Yeah.
reporting
Well,
around?
I don't know if they were chanting or if the bar was.
Yeah. They were taking part.
You
They
know,
were
but
enjoying
Barkov
the
did have on the Instagram feed like "Thank you Bruins," like in response to whatever.
Yeah,
with
I
the
like
picture.
that.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah,
I love that.
I like that one. I like all the
Listen.
hey, thanks for your cast
Yeah.
offs.
You know, the all they're doing is the scene in what's Scarface? You want to see a bad guy? I'll be that bad guy. Like, that's them. They're just embracing it. They're realizing that it doesn't matter what they do, just like Al Pacino in Scarface, where he's trying to put on the mask of a legitimate businessman. And yet when he goes out to the restaurant, people still look at him with a raised eyebrow. And so he loses his mind. He's like, you know what? Fine. I'll just be who you think I am. Right. And that's all the Panthers are doing. So I'm into it.
And now their legacy is totally cemented, right? With the 2 cups. So it's like they can do and say whatever they want. Like now they're feeling like truly on top of the world. 1 cup's one thing, but back-to-back cups, 3 straight finals, it's like they are, there
is a level of it though, Sam, where we're watching this stuff where it's like they're trying to be like the we don't care, whatever. They've earned the right to do it. At the same time, kind of feels like
there's 2 things. There's
cringy.
There's 2 things there's 2 things that bother them a lot, and they bring up all the time. Is the state tax thing. They cannot stop talking about. They're talking about it more than other people are talking about it now. And the fact that they have no fans. They are talking about it. So it's like, they don't have any fans. It's like, the people at the bar on the street that your parade's going down happen to be looking out the window. Wow, what a parade.
Same bar that's probably filled with Panthers fans for every game. It's like the one hot spot.
So those are the 2 things that really seem to be bending them out of shape.
I didn't think that the team Twitter account should have tweeted like, they say we have no fans, like with some pictures to fans or whatever. It's like, don't lean into it.
It was like 96% of homes didn't have the game on that they wanted in Florida.
They weren't being literal when they said you have no fans.
Right. It's like you have significantly
less than every other market that cares about this sport by a significant margin, and that's what people are pointing to. I will say to your cringe point, it's just, for me, there's stuff I enjoy. Like, I've really enjoyed Marchand's run because it feels very authentic to me.
For sure.
Whereas when I see
him wasted trying to go back to the bar and they're trying to pull him out of it, I'm like, that's
what I mean.
great.
I love it. I love seeing that stuff.
Yeah.
And so when I see the thank you to the other teams for Brad Marchand, who took a sweetheart deal with the Bruins, went to them hat in hand and said that he wanted to get something done because being a Bruin meant something to him. And then the organization went, we're going to go in a different direction. No thanks. I don't mind him expressing his anger. And it's like, we loved it when it was the Misfits for Vegas. So why not do it for guys that were castaways for the Panthers? Like, for Hagee. Like, there's so many of those guys.
Seth Jones?
Seth Jones was viewed as like an untouchable contract in the NHL.
Reinhart was like a failure before he got there. People thought he was no good too.
So I just think that's a part of sports. But again, to the Marchand point, I like it when it feels authentic and funny. And I'm not trying to take a shot here, but I feel like Kachuk stuff is forced. That he like wants to be the villain. That he's like, and I'm also the bad. And like,
it's not nearly as natural.
Like, the other 2 guys, Bennett and Marchand, kind of stole the face of what you were for the last team. And now it feels like you're trying to do the like, and I'm going to shotgun a beer. It's like, okay.
Everyone is.
Whoa. Okay. Like, relax, bad boy of Florida. Like,
the Marchand thing, though, the thing that you said that you're like, doesn't that make you want him in Toronto more? The thing that actually makes me want him in Toronto more is the night they're out there, they win the cup, they're partying, they're whatever. And he shows up at Dairy Queen at 11 a.m. the next morning and is signing autographs and taking pictures. I'm like, that's just, you can work hard and play hard. I'm like, he's signing pictures of her kids and all that stuff. I'm like, funny. I love that. It's amazing.
Funny.
But like, how many guys actually show up for that? Like, what are they paying him? Nothing. Like, compared to what he's made in his career, like he's made.
It's certainly
like
not
he could have slept through that alarm. But the fact that he showed up for that, I'm like, God,
but he
good
loves
Canadian
embracing
boy.
it.
I know.
He loves embracing
I love
the fact that it's like he's having a moment.
They're out till 5 a.m.
Yeah, he's having a moment. And this is why part of me does believe that he'll come to Toronto because it seems as though he's at some point of his career
Nothing
where
to lose now.
He's just really enjoying the spotlight. Yeah. He always does the TNT interviews. Every time they call on him to do something with him and Biz, he's there for it.
Which are one of the best player interview thing in any NHL thing ever. Them hammering each other.
But you look at even the Four Nations, who's the guy that's willing to take the phone and do some of the all-access content? It's Brad Marchand. Who's the guy that's soaking up the moment in Florida and showing up at Dairy Queen 11 a.m. despite being at 11 till God knows when?
Just
do you think he slept?
No,
maybe a couple hours.
Yeah, not much.
But either way, and just his interactions with people just seem very genuine and funny. And I don't know. I like it.
I will say, I was driving in today thinking about the likelihood of Marchand to Toronto because, Kyper talked about it, and it does seem likely. I have it at, 51% chance?
Sure, I think that's a fair number.
Somewhere in that ballpark. And I was trying to think of his influence on this room without Marner, who is, another personality of sorts. People like Mitch and all that on the team, and trying to imagine Marchand with Matthews. and trying to draw Matthews out to a
Yeah.
comfort level. And if Matthews would take to that or not. Like if he would be receptive to someone, Matthews is 28, or going to be this next season. He's the captain of the team. Does he want some guy coming in, having a good time, being like, let's have some fun, pal?
I would hope so.
Or is he going to be like, all right, well, you haven't been here. This is our thing. I don't know. I don't know the answer.
But our thing stinks.
Our thing does stink.
And it has flamed out when Brad Marchand is at his best.
Of
So
course.
you have to he'd have to trust
He
in the
might
process.
have the cachet to do it.
So
That's fair.
where I'm at with that element of it is they've had Tavares, and Matthews is not like as stiff as Tavares is, obviously. Like,
No.
it's kind of hard to match that.
Pretty close though, media-wise.
But he's more like snarky.
Yeah.
Right? He seems perturbed. And whatever. I know that the day-to-day of a media can be probably a bit of a grind. You're like any human being, right? There's some days where someone will ask me a question that's totally innocuous, but I didn't sleep well the night before. I'm having a bad day, and then I kind of bite their head off a bit, and then 10 minutes later, you're like, I wish I kind of had that one back. Like, so I don't view Matthews as like a problem with the media, but he's not Mr. Media.
No.
And at times, it feels really tense with that group. Nylander obviously doesn't like talking to the cameras. He seems like a loose guy that doesn't get bothered by.
You said Nylander doesn't seem like it. Oh, it doesn't
Does not
bother
seem
him.
like
No,
he's
doesn't.
not bothered, but also not like Mr. Forward Facing who wants to jump in front of a microphone and like look at those exit interviews where he's talking about how he mentioned the whole thing of, well, we took them to 7 games, and I went, oh God, he doesn't really have it either.
No.
They have never had a guy like Marchand who would be this much of a bona fide dude in the league, a genuine Hall of Famer, a guy who's been a captain of a team, a guy who's played for Team Canada, who would get to come in that room, but then embrace the side that a lot of these guys seem to think is like a real detractor to the job, which is the forward-facing element of it. Instead of having to put Matthews out there all the time or Tavares in the tired stuff all the time, you get Marchand, who steps out in front of a microphone and is willing to say a few things and has done it in a major market in Boston, who has won and who has played on Team Canada and knows how to handle it when the right times are to say something that maybe calls your group out a bit. Maybe the times where he takes a shot at the media and pushes back for the room and is actually able to say something that doesn't sound snarky, but kind of funny and forces you to reflect as the question answer.
Just show those guys that the media is not out to get you.
Yeah, that this can be fun.
Yeah, like you can work with them.
Yes.
This is not a adversarial thing.
I think that obviously the thing that's most important for them is if you're buying Brad Marchand, what are you getting from him as a hockey player?
Yeah.
Right?
Yep.
Because is he going to be the same guy playing with Matthews as he was on a third line with the Florida Panthers that's not getting the hardest matchups? No, probably not. In fact, when I saw him at Four Nations, one of my biggest takeaways was, he's not there the next year for Olympics.
Yeah.
He seems to be one of the odd men out in terms of guy who can hang here.
That was, those games, those USA-Canada games were like maybe the 2 fastest hockey games. Like
Sure.
that's you're never gonna have
Those teams
that.
didn't have third or fourth lines to play against.
There's no easy matchups in any of those games.
But I would say that
he looked slow in that tournament.
You're
100%.
fooling
The
yourself.
context is he can't play first liners.
You're fooling yourself if you're thinking that Brad Marchand is going to come to Toronto and have the same on-ice impact as he did with the Florida Panthers, and especially once you start to age that over a potentially 4-year deal, which seems to be the way that you're going to get him here.
Yeah.
But to me, it's like there's always this conversation of, are you overpaying for intangibles, right? Like we did this with Zach Hyman, where you're going, ooh, these contracts, they tend to age bad when it's the guy that doesn't. But contextually with this team, to me, Marchand makes sense as an overpay. Like you've come out as an organization and said that you need to change the DNA of this group. I think that they're trying to do that now at the negotiating table where they're saying, we're taking a harder line position with Tavares. We're taking a harder line position with Matthew Nyes. Whatever part they're playing in the Marner stuff, but he's walking away. There's going to be a revamp in terms of the way they're doing things, at least optically today.
Yeah.
But if you want to tell me about a guy who could come in here and actually change Easton Cowan's career and change Matthew Nyes' career and change the outlook of what the next couple of seasons look like in terms of younger players coming through the organization, their approach with the media, their approach with the game, the joy in which they play with, the looseness that a guy like Marchand brings. I think contextually, if you told me, hey, Brad Marchand 4-year deal at $8 million for, let's say, the Carolina Hurricanes, I would go, I don't think that makes
Doesn't work.
sense.
No.
But for the Maple Leafs in this exact spot that they're in, I kind of feel as though it's a bit of a perfect marriage, and that's why I'd be willing to overpay it. I've made this comparison before, but I view it very much like the Blue Jays when they signed Russell Martin, that you you're buying this 4-year deal for the first 2 years of it. Yeah. That anything you get after the next 2 years, it's like he's basically becoming a player manager, and you just have to be able to eat that and hope that as the cap rises and then hopefully your negotiations get better, that you can still find ways to win.
Yeah, and that you're able to flex your financial might for the first time in a really long time, with other teams not necessarily being able to, spend to the cap when it starts going up and up. But the window thing makes a ton of sense too. To add on to your point, I mean, you have the next, is it 3 years left with Matthews? Was that the first year of his contract where he was the highest paid guy this last year?
Yeah.
So you have 3 more years here of Matthews under contract. Like, if you're matching up these next 3 years or 4 years, however many it is, with Brad Marchand, it's like, these are the only 3 years that really matter. Like, look at how old Tanev is. Look at, like, some of the older guys in their team. It's like, he's not that much older than these guys. He's a perfect match for all those things that you've talked about. And unlike the other veterans that they've brought in here, it's actually one. It's like, it's not Marleau. It's not Thornton. It's not
It's
Simmons.
going the complete opposite
It's
direction.
not Spezza. It's not all these guys that are like, Spezza, we like to say we Men in Black sticked it because of Giordano. All these guys they've brought in never won anything. And bringing in Marchand with that cachet and all that stuff, it just makes a ton of sense. So I'm really, really hoping I'm hoping that it happens. I really am.
Yeah, and you kind of hope that the tail end of it works out like Tavares' end of it, where we all said the back end of that was going to be bad. And then I was like, okay, they still squeeze some juice out of that. So on that topic, we find there's a report, I think Pierre LeBrun this weekend wrote essentially that the Leafs are playing a bit of hardball with Tavares.
I had Myrtle on my show today. He said that they're further apart than that both sides are feeling a little sensitive now, or that neither side's ultimately very happy. I'm kind of paraphrasing him, which is the thing insiders hate the most.
I'll pull it up.
Well, you have it in here too. So if you want to,
no, here it's this is from JD Bunkis podcast. We have the host. Right now.
Lovely.
It's been harder than the Leafs were expecting. There's a little bit of frustration on both sides. James Myrtle today on his podcast.
Okay,
so
I my thought on this in LeBrun's piece, he said something to the effect of, Tavares knows that, the Leafs know that Tavares wants to stay here, and that's their leverage. And Tavares knows that the Leafs can't exactly afford to lose him. And that last part is what catches me. They can't afford to lose him. So are we sure? Because there's nothing else in the UFA market. I get that. But, I just can't imagine a world where you go another 3 or 4 years with Tavares when it has not worked. And it's not going to get better. You already can't play him in the, against top lines in the playoffs. You're suddenly it's like, okay, he doesn't PK. We need to start him in the ozone. He needs to play with good players. He needs to be you're trying to position it so it works for him. If he goes somewhere else, do you think he's going to drive a line for $7 million? I'm not so sure that Tavares has leverage.
This is what sucks about it for me, is this negotiation thing. I didn't think we were, and you two both, I didn't think we were going to have these conversations.
I thought JT was like, I want to be here. Let's do it for 4.
What they said right after, during the media.
Yeah, he was like,
we've already had a good conversation with Tavares.
And it's just, he's already spent 7 years here working against a contract where it's like he's working backwards from it, where everyone is crapping all over him.
How do these guys not see that?
And
it's just killing them.
I understand you're wanting to get what you're worth, and you're seeing other guys sign out there. I totally get it. But I'm so surprised that we're in this scenario with this. I just thought he was going to be like a Duchesne thing, 4.5 times 4. It's going to be done the first time it's able to be done. Yeah. And it's like, now this one is going out through the media. This one that seemed like a layup.
You can get your money. No one's saying don't get your money. Just go get it.
I'm really frustrated and surprised by this. Yeah. I truly am. It's just I did not expect this.
So
agreed.
This is agree talk, because I think whatever deal Tavares is willing to sign today in Toronto works for every other team in hockey, especially given the free agent market right now, right? If you told another team, hey, John Tavares is going to sign with you for 3 years at $6 million per, in a world where Brock Nelson got 7.
Yeah.
I think you go, I think you go, yes. So
every team would take that.
Right. So whatever it is that he's offering, every team could take it. But just like the Marchand thing, the context here matters. You've already paid John Tavares $77 million.
Yeah.
Did he earn it? As he entered free agency? Yes. Was there some discussion of he could have even gotten more at the time and took less? I don't know. I feel like that's kind of a bit of an urban legend.
The San Jose thing?
Yeah. I
feel like that was some maybe manufactured leverage.
Yeah, I think it's a little – I've never heard anybody tell me point blank that that's 100%
He was going to go.
Yeah, he was going to go, and it was $13 million for San Jose. Either way, he clearly had options. He could have signed this deal in other places, and he came to Toronto. So it's not like Toronto just did him a huge favor, bailed him out for an $11 million deal. It was like fair market value. But still, you've made $77 million with the Leafs, plus what you've made with the Islanders. Everybody wants to feel paid and appreciated for their work. But for John Tavares, no one's appreciating you for anything more than what you don't take. That the last play for you is winning a Stanley Cup. You want to make your market value? Go to Utah then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can. That's what I'm saying. Go get it.
No one's going to cry, and everyone's going to say,
we're going to judge you.
For sure. And I think that's I think
what we
that
do
that's
for a
fair. But for a guy that has positioned himself throughout his entire career as like a Sidney Crosby light, right?
Yeah.
The guy who's always on the ice, the guy who's always working hard,
Yeah.
a guy who always
Mr.
has
Hockey.
Consummate
Exactly.
professional.
Yes,
a guy
he
who's
is
got
that.
his eyes on the main prize, and that is to win a Stanley Cup in Toronto. A guy who sacrificed the captaincy because he thought it was what was best for the team and didn't make waves about it. For him to now be fighting with the organization over an extra couple $1 million, and I know that sounds stupid to some
No, it
people because
does
you
not.
go, yeah, millions
He's
are still
made 100.
millions. He's got $100 million. He's set up in Etobicoke. He's got his whole family here.
Yeah.
You have the opportunity to retire as a Toronto Maple Leaf. The last thing that you should be caring about is trying to win a contract negotiation for a few $1 million. And frankly, I think that Toronto's price has to not just be lower than the rest of the league. Like, it has to be significantly lower than the rest of the league. If you're not going to squeeze him, who are you ever going to squeeze?
Totally.
Like, how are you
Is
ever
it a
gonna-
business or is it not a business?
Where is the precedent going to be that you're going to be able to get another aging free agent player that wants to play in Toronto, who's like more set up here, that you're
the
going to
roots
play?
are deep.
Yeah, who are you going to play hardball with?
Yeah.
You don't get to do that with Brad Marchand. You didn't do that with your RFAs. It doesn't look like you're going to be able to do that with Matthew Nyes, by the way. Like, that might be a bit more of a difficult negotiation. You have to flex your muscle if you're Brad Treliving. And as painful as it may be to replace John Tavares with Mikael Granlund, right? No one thinks that that's a good swap amongst the players.
No.
But at some point, you got to have some organizational pride and go, what are we even losing here if we lose John Tavares? Okay, we're paying him $6 million, let's say. Like, well, that's the haircut of a deal. $6 million. You've won nothing. You already outlined what he is as a player today.
He's going to score 28 goals next year.
What is he?
And get caved in by the
what's-
Florida Panthers.
What's he
in this-
2 years
right.
from now?
Yeah.
Is he on the wing on the third line?
Oh, yeah. Now you're moving him to wing.
Right.
Now it's...
So I just don't view it as some big risk that you lose him. I think it's you take that hard line position. To me, the number has to start with a 4, flat out.
Yeah.
You're not giving him more than 4.5, 4.8, somewhere in that range. $1 million.
No.
Yeah, stretch it out, but it's got to start with a 4. You have to have the optics of, we got him on a similar deal to Matt Duchene. I don't care about the state tax. I don't care about Matt Duchene getting bought out of his other deal. That guy looked at the Dallas Stars and said, I'm old. I still want to win. I'm happy with my situation. I'm set up here. I want to be here. You got to do the same with Tavares.
Tavares also won his tax thing with the
Yeah, he did.
CRA
That
or
helps.
whatever.
Which
so
is a win for all of us. I see it.
It's a massive win for all of us to let athletes know they can come here and keep more of their money. I'm not even.
I meant it more
sarcastic
just
about
like,
that.
I hate the tax man like
Right.
the rest of you.
But I
anybody
do
who
I
wins
do think
against
it's
the
great
tax
for
man.
Toronto, for Canadian sports fans who want there to be ways for these guys to keep their money,
Yeah.
so it's more appealing to come here. But yeah, it is going to be fascinating because I also think if this is home and where you want to be, and where you're going to retire, you don't want people always viewing you through the lens of what you earn.
A
Which they
contract.
will if you make $6 million.
Yes.
Yeah, just
Yeah.
be the guy who's from here,
Yeah.
100 schmil, actually 111 so far.
Yeah.
You know, what's
But like, is he really grinding like his agent telling
and
him?
maybe not. Maybe
get
this
in
is
and-
like, all right,
Well,
I'm trying to get to.
we've got multiple reports, and in a climate where
I just
Sam Bennett's standing up at a podium going, I'm not leaving.
Yeah.
Where Matt Duchene's going, hey, it's done, it's over, it's
immediate.
easy. Where
No
like,
conversation.
yeah, and not to make this about the state tax stuff again, because I do think it's a part of it, but even an RFA like Maverick Bourque signs the 1-year deal immediately for literally like $900K,
Yeah.
basically free. And there's just deals being done all around the hockey world.
Tons of contracts are getting signed.
If there was one place in the hockey universe that was dying for one off season where we weren't doing this stuff, it's here. And so for Tavares to even not be able to understand that of what a lengthy negotiation starts to look like for him, even if he does end up going to the number, it's burning people out. We're sick of it.
That's exactly what I was going to say. It's like there's too much contract negotiation,
Yeah.
PTSD to have
and
it
it's
be
showing
like,
you that they can't learn anything.
yes, it's like the same. It's like Tavares is doing this now. Like,
Yeah.
when everybody thought it was just a slam dunk, and there's just people are going to resent them if it's anything above 5.
It's like every year we go into the playoffs, we're like, maybe they've learned. Maybe they've
Yes.
learned. And it's all about we get back to the contract talks. Like it's happening again, but they haven't learned.
How much of this is it being just Toronto and the agents using whatever? Like, how much of that is in this?
But that's crummy enough to me if you're trying to do that at this point.
Yeah, that's it. But so to me, the bigger question, more conspiratorial,
Yeah.
to like fully tinfoil
Yeah,
hat it,
let's go.
is that the whole league. You know how when the best players take less money, all the rest of the league gets pissed because they go, "Hey, you're the ones that are supposed to be."
But
People were
go
pissed
ahead.
at Connor
Yeah,
when he took
that's-
13.25 or whatever he took.
That's my point,
Yeah.
is that there's always this undercurrent of when the best players don't maximize their value, that they've not done well by the rest of the league. And I do wonder sometimes, not to over Toronto it, but if there's added pressure in Toronto because it is the most visible.
But no. Because to me, you're easily able as another agent or a team to say Crosby took 8.7 times 2.
Yeah.
That's an outlier. He's Sid. He's doing that because blank, blank, blank. And you could do that with Tavares, right?
Just
It's
loves
like,
his number. Has Tavares made more money than Sid in his career now?
oh God, it's a great question.
Yeah.
But like the
He
Sid
has.
thing is a great example where he's like, we're not doing a big negotiation. It's not about money. I'm going to give these guys 2 more years. I'm trying to win another cup, 8-7. Okay. What do you have, 90 points this year, Team Canada? Like, I just don't see how you can be like, I want $1 million less than Sid.
Yeah, but has he made more?
I
thought you Googled
No, I thought
it.
you were.
Yeah, I thought you were Googling it. I was like, anyway, I'm with you.
I can
I
have this
agree.
for you in
I
2
think that they got to
seconds.
squeeze Tavares.
Not even close. Sid's made $35 million.
Oh, okay. Wait.
I just thought because Sid,
111 for JT, 147 for Sid.
Sid signed one of those long 13 ones for 8-7, didn't he?
Yeah, that's right.
Like when they did like the greasy Ilya Kovalchuk one era, like
Yeah.
12 year.
They started around the same time.
Yeah, they did. That's
Sid,
why.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So, but I'm with you guys. I'm at the point where I know that you're not supposed to be quote unquote punting. I'm not advocating that's what they do. I'm not saying let Tavares walk and then don't try to be creative. You're going to have to do other things. You're going to potentially have to entertain deals involving some of your younger players. You might have to be creative with your blue line. Like I was talking today that maybe you're talking about flipping Brandon Carlo somewhere else for some center depth. Yeah, it's not a pretty thing, but I would much rather the Leafs finally take the position and say, no, this is not the same management group. We're not just capitulating to your wants. If you don't want to be here for the number that we have, then we're going to find a different way to win. And last year, everybody took to the pulpit and hammered the Tampa Bay Lightning for the way that they treated their captain, the face of their franchise, Steven Stamkos.
Myself included.
And could you imagine had they actually gone up and paid him that deal? Like the odds Tavares could end up in the exact same situation where he walks from Toronto, goes and signs $7 million in Utah, and we're looking at his numbers and going, hey, their power play kind of stinks, and they're talking about taking Tavares off power play 1, and they don't use him in the D zone, and people in Utah who don't know anything about hockey are frustrated with this guy.
Easy.
That's
easy.
not a non-zero percentage.
A
to
close personal friend, Ryan Smith's
That's right.
fans you're talking about there. So.
Yeah, all right. Yeah, he's sure.
Doing great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay,
No comment.
We'll draw a clean break because we have lots of other topics. So let's do game time before we do that though, Sam.
It's game time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out why it's never ordinary at Bet365. Must be 18 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly. I was just looking at Bet365 just to know what we were going to talk about here because there's literally no sports.
No more sports.
It's kind of grim. Actually, I get a little bit sad at this time of year.
Schwellenbach's pitching tonight for Atlanta.
Oh, okay. No. What I was going to ask you guys, a couple of the favorites for next year's regular season awards.
Oh.
They have those posted on here.
Give me
what's the
Austin Matthews Hart Trophy odds.
Austin Matthews Hart Trophy odds.
Plus
He is
2,500
plus 1,600 right now. I can give you. I mean, you're not going to need many guesses to see who the favorite is.
Yeah.
Connor McDavid. Nathan,
Can't bet on Matthews till you see he's healthy.
The
Thought you might get long odds.
Richard Trophy. Matthews is a second favorite behind Leon Draisaitl. Maybe not a bad bet on Matthews there at plus 400.
Yeah. Plus 400.
No.
The Norris is
You're going to wait all year for plus 400 on Austin Matthews? No.
the Norris is Makar is a favorite. Who do you think the favorite for Jack Adams is?
What a weird thing to be. Who do you think is going to coach best next year?
The favorite for
Jack
Jack Adams.
Adams.
So it's got to be a coach on a team that is like on the
Talk it.
rise.
I don't know.
Keefe?
No.
Oh, I was like
Quenneville. Quenneville is the
Yeah,
favorite at
that's
plus,
a good,
at plus 750. And then
yeah.
it's
That's a good one.
I'm mad that I didn't guess that.
Yeah,
Because there's the potential for the
Yeah, of course.
the story.
and the Calder Memorial Trophy, the Demidov is a massive favorite at plus 160, and then it's a bunch of guys that I'm not really sure about. So there you go. Anyways, that was Game Time presented by Bet365. Visit the app for latest odds and find out what's ordinary at Bet365. Miss 19 plus, Ontario only. Please play responsibly.
All right, when we come back, we're going to talk about some non-Brad Marchand free agents that would work for the Leafs, possible Mitch Marner destination, and much more after this. Welcome back to Real Kyper and Bourne. Subbing in for Kyper today, my man, JD Bunks of the JD Bunkis podcast and Leafs Talk. A few more topics to go here, Bunk.
I miss Leafs Talk.
What's that?
I miss Leafs Talk.
Is that true?
I did. I love doing those shows.
I got to tell you, it's a great show.
It was
and
the
I
best.
really enjoyed getting
And
to
the
the
engagement-
playoffs.
I miss it on the good games when they're like,
Yeah,
hey,
Game
it's
7 was-
Tampa on a Saturday. I do not miss Columbus Tuesday night.
Sure.
Yeah.
I got to ask you, how
We're like Sam Bennett. You know, it's like we get through the regular season,
Yeah,
you're
that's
fine.
it.
Then in the
Yeah.
playoffs, it's like that's when we really start to excel.
Yeah.
how do you feel that your instant emotional takes, how do you feel typically they age? Like the next day, do you often feel like they were wrong, or do you feel like it's pretty much how you end up feeling?
I'm a guilty conscience guy. I've woken up multiple times the next day being like, God, you idiot.
I've
Why'd
told you
say
guys this before, but like Lamoriello had all the coaches when I was in the American League. You fill out a thing before you talk to anyone, send it away, then you talk, then you watch video, and like the next day, 80% of the time you're like, oh, I had him all wrong.
I really don't want to sound like too precious about this because I think what we do is mostly just really fun.
Mhm.
You get to shoot it with your buddies, and like our show is literally one of my best friends who's ever lived.
Oh,
That I get to just sit there with and do what we've done as friends, like our entire relationship,
Mhm.
which is like bitch and moan about the team or then like celebrate something fun that's happening. But I really like that I'm able to do the reactionary show
Mhm.
and then sleep on it and then see how I feel about stuff in the morning and then do another show.
yeah. That is
Uh,
nice to
it's
have
like,
that.
Yeah.
100%.
I get the here's how I was feeling.
Mhm.
And so sometimes I don't know what the hit rate is. I'm guessing that if you polled the audience, it'd be like, you get it wrong every time.
Well,
Actually, it depends where you go. 'Cause
I
it's
get it
like,
wrong every time.
If you go to like my Instagram followers, it's like that's people who really like me. If you
Yeah.
go to like my YouTube comments, it's mean.
It's meanness generally.
Yeah, exactly. Twitter, everybody's so jacked up and like polarized already. Like Instagram, you're just scrolling, watching dog videos. So
Yeah.
when you see something from somebody else, you reach out and you're like being kind because
Yeah.
you're like, oh, I was just looking at a puppy. On Twitter, it's like, hey, World War III is going to happen.
Yeah.
And also here's free agent news and you're primed up.
You're just pre-mad.
So anything somebody puts out there in the world, you're like, gay news. So it's
makes
different. It depends on the app.
Yeah. All
Yeah.
right, good to know. Social media is the
Yeah.
dividing. So let's talk about free agents for the Leafs. Brad Marchand is obvious. We talked about him in the first chunk of the show. We all want him. There's not much out there. And I am of the belief that to remake this team the way that I think it should be, you probably have to make some moves. You probably have to make a deal. I don't know if that's I don't think we should start there because there is free agency out there. Do you have a couple of guys in mind? Do you have anyone in mind that you think, okay, there's a guy that the Leafs should definitely go and get?
Brandon Tanev.
Oh, yeah?
Oh, like the most. I'm fully on this train.
Okay.
Again, some people will hate my offseason because they'll go,
He's a wood chipper.
why are you paying so much for another guy at the bottom of the lineup that you don't think is going to add goals to your team? But again, I'm talking DNA change.
Mm-hmm.
What was the number one point of DNA change for this team this year?
Chris Tanev.
Unquestionably.
Yeah.
What do I want? More Tanev. If I
Their
can,
dad
if you
on the bench.
Yeah, if you're telling me, hey, what do we want?
Who was it they hired his dad to try to sign him?
VC.
VC,
Yeah.
right? You
Oh.
want VC, yeah. Remember that? And then he didn't
Yeah.
even sign here.
Yeah,
He was
I
like,
know,
you're
yeah.
fired.
And then VC ended up crawling back
Yeah,
and
yeah.
ends
Vanilla.
up his legacy is the only guy Sheldon Keefe ever yelled at.
Vanilla.
I just think it's been.
The only guy Sheldon Keefe took aside in the Amazon series was like, you're going to get cut because we don't like the way you play with his math. Like, well, no one can read my lips. We can hear what you're saying. Yeah, I really love the idea of having a line that has Brendan Tanev and Steven Lorentz on it and then figuring out who the other wood chipper is going to be and going, I want to have essentially some iteration of the Islanders' identity line where you're going, God, those guys are just awful to play against.
Yeah.
They're just hitting you all the time. And I don't know.
I bet you all the cup winning teams have someone like that. Like it's Gord, Goodrow, and Coleman, or it's Lundell, Lusterin, and Marchand. It's,
but my other thing with Tanev is that normally those guys get like a little overpaid. Mm-hmm. And my hope is, again, that you're targeting someone who wants to be here, who would be going, I'd love to finish my career playing with my brother in Ontario.
Yeah.
That seems appealing to me. And I'm a believer in the brother factor. I think if you are listening to this and you have a brother that you like, some people don't,
yeah, right.
but you know it. It's like there's no one that you'd rather be around at the end of the day. And so the idea that you're keeping Chris Tanev a little bit happier, you're adding more of the Tanev DNA to the team, you're adding something that I do think is a personality change and just a dude who loves hockey and plays it the right way. To me, he's like very, very high on the target list.
I do like Brandon Tanev.
Yeah.
I was going through Anthony Pacilli is a 3-part series on potential like free agents and stuff on Maple Leaf Hot Stove. Yeah, it's well done. There's just not many choices. You know what I mean? It's like Sam Bennett not coming here. Yeah. Marchand we ruled out as like maybe coming here.
Tavares, Marner.
Yeah.
It's the horrifying thing is the amount of cap space and a horned up new general manager with way more responsibility that is
trying
looking
to make up for the loss of Marner.
That is like trying to fill an enormous amount of holes on your forward core.
Yeah.
It's like that is the horrifying mix here before next offseason.
I don't think it's that horrifying though from this standpoint. It's like,
well, you mean the cap spike? Just ask that.
No,
the cap spike thing. It's like I'm thinking of those Milan Lucic, Troy Brower year when the cap went way up and then those guys got insanely overpaid. That's what like I'm very terrified of at this very moment.
I think that's going to happen.
Yeah.
So the fact that there's not a lot of free agents out there is also to me a little bit of a, oh, you're probably not going to end up doing something too stupid long term. It's just there's nobody that I think you're doing that with. Like you're doing Mangiapane.
There's one name.
I do love Mangiapane.
Nick Ehlers.
Well, no, that's no.
Nick Ehlers is going to
he fit right in. He would be the most perfect Leaf ever.
You love Nick Ehlers. Like there's like a faction of people that love like it's like.
Hold on, I haven't even said I want him.
Oh, you did in private.
Did you not just imply that?
No. I'm saying this is. You said there's not a guy out there that they could overpay with this cap space. That would be dangerous.
Yeah.
And there
I was
is
gonna
one.
say, well, Brock Besser's the other one.
Brock Besser's a great example.
Yeah, those are the two guys that I look at. If the Leafs signed, I would not be thrilled and it's not because I don't think that either of them could be good contributors and good regular season players. I would just be looking at it going, ooh, that's not the skill sets that I think you need on this team.
You know what Nick Ehlers is for me? Nick Ehlers is if you've gone to Eaton Center and you're shopping and you need a shirt because you're going to a party and you're like, I got to get something. All my stuff is whatever, we're moving. It's all, I have to leave here with a shirt.
There was a shirt that looks so great, but it's a size too small and you tried it on and it didn't work.
And you're like, okay, I've been here for 3 hours. I got to get going. I'm late. I need something.
It's expensive.
And you're
must
like,
be nice.
Maybe it's not as small as it felt when I tried it on. Maybe it's going to work. And you talk yourself into it. And then you get to the party and you peel the shirt on. You're like, God, I hate this shirt. So uncomfortable in this shirt.
Or you bought it because it was really expensive. And so you're like,
it must be good.
It must be good. And then you're wearing it and you're like, it fits me poorly and I look stupid and it's not my look.
You guys are big shopping at Dan Flash's.
It's a very complicated pattern. You know, I can sit there and talk myself into Ehlers. You know, I don't want Brandon Tanev. You need more talent. You need to score. Sure. You need to be faster. You're slow. Hey, Ehlers is a guy that actually he fought a couple of times, and his playoff numbers were better this year. I can get there where I'm like, the shirt fits okay, and it's expensive, and it is a complicated pattern. I'm going to do it.
It's a really complicated pattern.
So I can talk myself into Ehlers. I know it's not. I know it's not the right fit.
Can I just say the one counter?
Sure.
This is the easiest one. So if you told me, like, you're bringing back the team, but Marner's gone, and they brought in Ehlers.
Fixed it.
Yeah.
But if he makes 8.5 and you spend more, you know.
Yeah, but I guess that's my question is, like, where does the rest of the money go? And there's just not, to me, it's like, I like the local guys coming in here for cheap and looking at this offseason more as can you get dudes on so Domi, the first year was a great contract. They got Max Domi. It was a 1-year deal and
$3 million.
$3 million bucks. It was a prove it deal. He played great. The mistake was that
4 years.
the next year they went, hey, even though no one's ever wanted you for more than a year,
that was
here's 4 and
Almost $4 million.
yeah, that was the mistake.
good in the playoffs, though.
I like those kind of deals, thinking like, if Mangiapane, a Toronto kid, is sitting there, I'm not a huge fan. I liked him actually more in Calgary than I liked it anyway.
Yeah.
There's something there though, right?
Mm-hmm.
And there's a bit of bite to his game. He can finish. I'm into Mangiapane.
Yeah.
My hope is again that, and maybe I'm being way too pipe dreamy with this stuff, but I'm going, all right, if you come to Toronto and you play for a 1-year deal, can you up the value? Can you be in the center of the eye? Can you see if you actually love playing for your hometown? Maybe it goes like, that's the thing with these Toronto guys, is that there's a scenario, right, where things go really well and you get that year 1 of Domi where people love you. Domi was bad for a lot of the season. Then Marner got hurt and he had a good stretch. And by the end of it, people were like, this is the kind of guy that we have
to sign him.
We love you. We'll build idols for you.
Yeah.
And I view a guy like Mangiapane like that. It's like, yeah, man, get the Woodbridge boys going, fired up for you. Like, let's
He's kind of like small Justin
very-
Williams to me.
Yeah,
like he's kind of he's not big, he's not strong, but he's smart and
I guess
finish.
I'm
Very
not winners.
popular in
I'm at the discount rack
Woodbridge.
looking at things and going,
Mangiapane.
this used to be really nice. Like, this was a good brand. Ooh,
Winners. That's where I
Calvin
buy all my
Klein.
clothes.
It's not the perfect fit.
Like
But
me
it-
seeing Banana Republic in Costco
yes,
the other day.
it's like, you see those. It's like, this used to be a little bit hotter.
Yeah.
I'm a couple seasons late maybe on it,
Yeah.
but maybe I'm pulling it off. Maybe I put the shirt over top of it. The look is good.
I can see it. I can see it. So the one thing, like, and I'm going to lump in 2 of our questions. I mentioned that I think the trades kind of have to happen. It killed me the other day as someone who wants the Islanders to do well to see Noah Dobson's name, being Elliot Friedman had him rumored to be whatever. This relates to your Brandon Carlo thing, where Dobson is a guy who's had 70 points in the league as a right shot defenseman, and he's 24 years old. The Leafs need offense from the back end. They need a puck mover. Carlo's been good for them. I actually like Carlo.
Yeah.
But he stylistically is so much more of what they need. Okay, can we put something together where, okay, Carlo goes to the Islanders. I don't know, is it a pick? Is it a prospect? I don't know how you end up making this deal because it would be expensive to get Noah Dobson.
I don't know what you have.
I mean, what picks or prospects do you speak of? I mean, Topi Niemela just went and signed in Sweden, so.
So did Roni.
So did Roni.
Did he really?
The
Our 2
Ronies
guys,
and the Ronies and Ronies are gone.
Topis are gone.
Yeah, they're gone.
I don't feel bad about
They're
us
all under
minimizing
Ronies and
them for the
Topis.
past 5 years then.
Yeah, but no, I
just like that's the only way I could see, okay, that's a really meaningful thing to get a guy like that. I recognize they don't have the cash to afford
but
that.
obviously, to me,
pattern.
that's kind of like one of the more ideal paths that you can take is finding a way to take a good roster player and upgrade without having to take a massive cap hit. Like that's the only thing I think that you have to avoid in terms of deals that involve star players, is having it feel like, oh wait, are we just back to core 4 here, core 3 here? Like, we've got, to me, the idea of this is that you're going to be trying to spread the money around a little bit more.
Yep.
And even though Marchand, you'd be looking at and saying, well, isn't that $8 million? Isn't that what you're talking about? It's like, yeah, for sure. Like, that's
But that's
a
not
chunk.
11.
Exactly. Like, it's not going to be the 14 Marner wanted or the 13 Marner wanted. It's like, how are you going to appropriate the other $5 million from that deal for a second guy? And so that's why I'm looking at, like, yes, Marchand is number 1. I think if they strike out on him, frankly, it's hard to see how they put the money together to get to the cap. In some of these, like, all of a sudden you're just saying, screw it, Tavares, just take the money because.
or you just are under the cap and you just wait for McDavid.
Like I said to you guys when we went to break very quickly there, I'd rather them leave a hole and figure it out later than to try to rush something in right now.
Any Kane interest, Patrick Kane?
Like,
I don't have any.
A small, like a little.
A dash?
A dash of it. Like, I wouldn't mind seeing Kane get a look with Matthews.
Yeah.
But is it something that I'm like, you gotta, and
you just watched that Stanley Cup final, like, maybe Kane could have another year if he's $1 million.
He had 59 points last year.
I know, if
I was
he's a
surprised.
$1 million.
What was his last deal?
He signed for, didn't he sign? Yeah.
Okay, so I'm just, and again, I'm doing this because Taves just signed, but when I saw that Taves contract where it was like, you can make up to $7 million.
It was 5.25 in the regular season.
Yeah, but if they win a cup, it's up to 7. So, but it's like.
Is that what he got? I knew.
Buddy, if he just plays like 60 games and they make it to the playoffs, it's a $5.25 million contract.
Good agent.
Kane's was $4 million last year.
That's what I'm saying is, I don't want to pay Patrick Kane $4 million.
But I would take Patrick Kane instead of Max Domi if you move his money.
Yeah.
Something like that where it's like, can you?
So now
You could have done that scenario with a lot.
But now you have no centers on the roster. It's like Domi right now is on track to.
What about Pius Suter?
Yeah.
Pius Suter's going to make $4.5 million. He scored 20. He can shoot it. You know,
you can interest me in that.
Yeah, that's one. He's 29 years old.
I don't know. There's just
not
this
fast,
is my problem,
not big.
My entire problem with everything this offseason is that it's like the one center that you'd like to have back on a really cheap deal is Tavares, and for whatever reason, it doesn't seem like it's going that way right now. We'll see how it plays out. The rest of the center market is terrible.
Terrible.
There's no way to really pivot your D in a way that you're looking at it and going, okay, this kind of a shakeup would be good for you free agent wise. There's just a bunch of wingers that you kind of like. Like I like Riley Smith.
Yeah.
How
about a league minimum deals? This Cole Koepke was on a good line in Boston last year.
Yeah,
or
it's stuff like that. It's moves like that I look at and go, hey, can you find a good bargain version from this group of players? Yes, the Canes, the Mangiapanis, whatever, guys that are coming in under the full market value because they would rather play in Toronto, whether it's a chance to win, make a little money off the ice, get a little bit more visibility, whatever it is. That's sort of the way I'm looking at it as a more holistic standpoint rather than me feeling like there's one target that you got to have other than Tanev because, like I said, more Tanev.
You know who is out there as a UFA is Leafs deadline legend last year, Luke Kunin. No, Luke Kunin.
Oh,
they can get him for whatever they want. Yeah, that was hot rumor. Hot rumor.
I've
seen Mikey.
I've seen enough Luke Kunins.
Yeah. Anyways,
okay. So
where's Marner going?
There you go. So that is the question. So Marner's not going to be a Toronto Maple Leaf. Did you hear? So what is the most fascinating? What outcomes do you see? What would be the most interesting?
The most fascinating would be Florida.
It is 100%.
There's no even second place close.
It is also he can't win if he goes to Florida. Like I don't mean like he can't physically win. I mean there's almost no way to win. If you go and you win the cup, you're Kevin Durant who went to Golden State. Never goes, well, you kind of got one, but whatever. And if you go and you don't win, everyone went, this guy's toxic.
Yeah. Imagine they lose to the Leafs with him on there.
To me, it's
I can't have the Thunder and then that. The Thunder and then Mitch Marner eliminates the Leafs in the same calendar year would be too much for me to endure. I would say that, so Florida would be 1. 2 would be Carolina simply because of the lack of waiving the no move.
Yeah.
Because if he was to sign there, you go, hey, everyone understands that your wife was pregnant and that was a difficult thing to do. But you are that's not an unprecedented thing that's ever happened in sports where someone's had to move when someone was pregnant and they had to figure out, like, you have the means.
Eddie Olczyk on our show got traded while his wife was in labor.
Yeah, like, I understand why he didn't want to do it.
Yeah. Totally.
I'm fine with him not doing it in that situation. I'm just saying that if he was to sign in Carolina,
it would come up.
It would be, like, pretty painful to go, wait, so we could have had Mikko Rantanen here, not just for that run, but also for the future. And it was all because you weren't willing to go there earlier. Yeah. Like, think about how it felt for those of us of a certain age when Sundin did decide to come back and play in the NHL.
It felt very bad.
Yeah, it did. And obviously everyone got over that. And I think that we as a market overreacted to Sundin when he didn't waive the no move originally. But for a little bit there, it was a real tough feeling until he came back and won a game against the Leafs. And then it was like, things are better now.
Backhand top corner on Vesataskala.
So to have it go that way, where you sign with that team and it directly cost you a Hall of Famer,
where do you think he's going?
Vegas.
What's the thought process there?
I think that they get rid of Pietrangelo and that they find ways to. That's what the Golden Knights do. And this is my whole thing with people who are like, well, you don't want to sign bad contracts because what if McDavid comes up? You're like, you'll just move off the money.
Mm-hmm.
That's what good teams do, and that's what I think Vegas does.
Yeah, I think LA because it sounds cool.
Ducks.
I guess to say he lives on the
Ducks
beach.
with Quenneville. They're trying to be win nowy. I think he goes to the Ducks.
He's the
It's
perfect duck.
$14.5 million. And they just sign.
Go be the guy for the Ducks.
Yeah, exactly.
Either way, I'm just sick of it.
Wear those candy ass jerseys.
All right, Bunk. Thanks for joining us, pal. We will be back tomorrow with Nick Kiprios. And we'll see you then. Thank you very much.